guys, today we're back in the garage and we're working on the KTM EXCF 500 6 days model. This is the 2023 version. This will apply for all the bikes from 20 to 2023. If you have a 2024, this does not apply to you. It's slightly different. Some of these parts are interchangeable, but the process and the way you're going to do this is different. So if you have a 2024, you can watch the video and it's going to be helpful, but it's not going to be the exact same because in 2024 they did change some things up, especially on this side of the gas tank. You have these side rails where the fuel pump is not sucking up from the very bottom, so they're still working on a fix for that. It may be out by the time that you see this video, so if it is, go ahead and get that. That'll definitely help you out. But in the meantime, we're focused on this. This is the acerbis 3.9 gallon tank. It is almost 2 gallons bigger than the stock tank, not quite 2 gallons, but almost, and it is a pretty trick and pretty cool unit. We were using this all last year in 2024 due to the fact that I ruined my stock tank. So give me 1 second, I'm gonna go grab my stock tank so I can show you. All right, we're back, and here's the stock tank, and here is the acerbis tank. And I just want to kind of do a quick comparison. The weight is almost the same. This one's slightly heavier, but not by much. Anyhow, what happened is I took a dive over the handlebars last year, and it was a pretty significant dive. It was not a light dive, it was a very hard hitting dive. And when that happened, it punctured a hole, which is really hard to see. So let me get up close to you guys. And it punctured a hole right there. You can barely see it, but it's right there. So this was actually a tree branch, believe it or not. So a tree branch, there's still even a piece of the tree in there. Punctured a hole right through the tank. There's pieces of tree in the tank still. Thankfully, it was up high enough that I was still able to ride. We just had gas, spilling everywhere. So as soon as I got home, took the tank out, and yeah. So this was it. So that's why I went to the acerbis bigger tank. We're gonna go to the bigger tank anyhow. This just kind of forced me to do it a little sooner. Today, what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be installing the entire Moto Co. and Go Long fuel system. This is going to completely refresh the fuel system. This pump from Moto Co. is good for 3,000 hours, which is crazy. Because the stock one's good for about 300 hours. So this is gonna last about 10 times longer than the factory fuel pump, which is literally insane. So we're gonna get after this. I'm gonna show you guys step by step how we're gonna do it, how we're gonna replace everything, and stay tuned. This is gonna be a fun one. It's gonna be very in-depth, an in-depth dive on how to do this. Alrighty guys, so here we have our Moto Co. kit, and this is pretty much everything you're gonna need to do this. Before we get into this, we're gonna go ahead and start over here, and we're just gonna start the disassembly. When I disassemble these, I like to start here at the bottom with these two guys. So we're gonna start here, and then we're gonna get to this guy right there. So I'm gonna come over here. If I remember correctly, it's a 17 mil. Yep. And you can do this with other tools. This is just what I have, what I like to use. Okay. Once they're loose, you can just kind of take them out by hand. It's great to have some shop towels laying around when you're doing this, just because there might be some residual fuel coming out of here. Also, check out this O-ring, make sure it's in good condition. We're gonna clean up the dirt and debris around it, but the O-ring is what you're really concerned about. You wanna make sure that's in good condition. So check that out, set that aside. Continue to spin this guy off. Now this guy's gonna have 2 O-rings on it. You're gonna have 1 O-ring on the bottom, 1 O-ring on the top. Just pop that out of there. We're just gonna set it just like that for right now. You can just kind of check out the condition of this. So this piece in its entirety, we're not going to be reusing except for this 90 here. We're probably going to end up reusing that 90 to get it where we want it, because that's going to go like how it was. So I think it was just like that. So we're gonna kind of keep that orientation and everything. You can get the fuel out of it. You don't need the fuel in it anymore. So once you have those out, then you're gonna go over here and you have some 6 mils. So we're gonna come back over to our box here, grab a 6 mil. I think it's a 6 mil. Let me just double check. Yep. So grab our 6 mils and you're gonna gently loosen these guys up. Okay. Okay, all right, so we got those out of the way. Now what you're gonna do is gently finesse this up and out. This is your fuel pump hanger and assembly, and it's kinda tricky to get off of here, so you wanna be very careful when you're doing it. Okay, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna set our tank. Oh, it's leaking a little bit, which is fine. We're gonna set our tank out of the way, and I'm gonna lay down some more shop towels for us so we can work on this a little bit better without getting fuel everywhere. Okay, so this is our fuel tank setup. Now this is your fuel pump, which just kind of hangs out in this hanger tank right here. And then this guy is your, I think this is your pickup, if I'm not mistaken. Also, good to note this bracket should have been seated. Mine was not, so if yours is not, that's not good. You should always have that bracket fully seated in there. Should never not be seated in there, just so you're aware. So anyhow, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna start the disassembly of this. Should be relatively simple and easy to take apart and disassemble. Obviously, this was already not supposed to be like that. You can tell that I've been in here once, and either I forgot to put this back on or it popped off on the way in. That I don't know, I couldn't tell you. So anyhow, first things first, want to get our pump out of there. So this is just like your seat for your pump. This is your fuel screen, your fuel filter screen. Just check that out, see how it looks, see if there's any dirt, debris on it that you need to be concerned about. If there is, definitely check that out. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna open up our little bag of goodies here. And we have a new filter screen right here, just like this. Same thing, OEM replacement part. We have our, I think this is Go Long. I don't know if Go Long makes this or if somebody else makes this, but this is an all metal disconnect. So that kind of replaces this guy right here, just with a metal version. So it's a metal disconnect versus a plastic disconnect. So obviously you're not gonna break this, and this could easily be broken or chopped off. So there's that. Here is the goods. This is the goods right here, guys. This is the Taco Moto Co. Fuel pump. And you want to take your caps off. There's a cap on both sides. So definitely do not install with these caps on. So kind of pop your cap off. It's pretty easy to do. Check it out. Make sure that there's no anything crazy in here that you're seeing that looks wrong. Check your pins. Make sure they're not loose. They shouldn't be. You can kind of set your caps aside. We're going to reuse those later. For your fuel filter, we should be able to pop these pieces off. You want to check to make sure that your new piece looks exactly like your old piece. It looks like there's a retaining clip on there, which I'm not sure if we're going to be able to take that retaining clip off very easily. It doesn't look like it. So we may just go ahead and reuse this guy. It seems like the new one is slightly different, but well, I guess we're going on to a new pump. So since we're going on to a new pump, we're gonna have to replace it. And it looks like, okay, the new one comes with the fittings, so that's okay. So we're gonna be okay there. So for your new one, you're just gonna go ahead and align it up. So you're gonna see how it lines up, and you're gonna pop that guy on. Now, it's very important to make sure this is fully seated and clean. What you're gonna have to do now is pop this filter off, it may be easier to actually pop it off of this and then pop the filter off. You don't want to break it when you're doing this, because that would suck, kind of defeats the purpose. But it is also not very easy to pop off. Okay, so we got it. Filter's off. We're going to set that aside. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and place this on here like so. Just going to go over that, and you really want to squeeze it nice and tight down on there. Okay, once you have that down on there, then what we're going to do is we're going to take our little kit here. We got these two little fittings. I guess one is a plastic ring and the other one is a metal ring. And I believe they want you to put the plastic ring on first, just like so. So you get your plastic ring on there, and then after that, you're going to get your metal ring on there. This is not going to be the easiest thing to do. Okay, there's the metal ring. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our M6 and we're going to take this, put it over this. Oh, get it on there so it's nice and straight. Like I said, not the easiest thing to do. Okay, once you kind of have it nice and straight, take your M6 and kind of push it down on there. You want it to lock in place. And like I said, it's not the easiest thing to do, so take your time, be careful. Okay, we're actually going to try to grab a smaller one. I have a 5.5 here. I think that'll work slightly better. Okay. Okay, so that seems to be pretty well on there. I'm just going to try an even, nope, that's going to be too small. Let's try this guy. Oh, that one fit really good. This is a 3/16. So 3/16 is for the win. Or 3/16 back in place. Okay, so now you have that. It's fully seated. It's not coming off. It's not going anywhere. You're going to grab your brand new fuel filter. Orientation does not matter. It's all the same. And you're just going to pop that back on. Except for it doesn't want to pop back on. Did I grab the wrong one? Huh. Okay, I think I grabbed the wrong one. So these might be slightly different. So keep that in mind. They are slightly different because that other one does not fit on. Okay, and then it's just gonna snap right like that, just back in place. So there's our new fuel filter, just like that. And it's on there. So that's good to go. Take our old one and our old pump, and we're actually just gonna pop that guy back on there. Okay, now your next step is we wanna cut the zip tie. Actually, we're gonna try not to cut that zip tie. We're gonna try to leave it on. So instead of cutting that zip tie, go ahead and take your positive lead and your negative lead and pull those off. And then, I don't know if we're gonna be able to do this by hand or not, but we're gonna try to pop off this guy. It looks like they electrical taped it. Honestly, I can't really tell what they did there. Oh man, it does not want to come off. So there are replacements. So we're gonna check these out. Now this is not an old tank, so I'm not worried about reusing these. We could easily reuse these things. But it looks like we're not going to. So we do have 4 new of these guys. And it looks like the only ones that we'd really have to replace are the ones that go on here. So I think what we're gonna end up doing is very carefully cutting these off. It's kind of like a heat shrink of some sort. And it doesn't appear to want to be cut. So we're gonna try to pop this guy off carefully. So now we just need to pop this tube up. Okay, there we go. Our tube is off, and this is just gonna leak some fuel. I'm gonna just try to leak it on the ground. It'll all evaporate. Okay, so we got that off. And we still are gonna have to get this guy to come off. And we could just try to wiggle this guy on. Oh, this only flows one way, so that's a good thing to note. So we wanna see which way this guy is flowing. So he's flowing upward. So this guy also needs to flow up. So that is very important. So don't mess that up if you're gonna be doing this. Just kind of gumming that up a little bit. So I think we might try to use a heat gun. Is our longer piece, so he's gonna go right here. Okay, yeah, that worked. That was the move. So just a little bit of heat and it slipped right on. So now what we're gonna do is grab our piece right here. We're gonna see, I bet you it's a 6 mil. Nope, it's bigger than a 6. Is it a 7? It's a 7. So we're gonna go ahead and grab our 7 mil and we're gonna go ahead and tighten that down. Okay, so that seems to be very stout, very tight. Okay, and I believe this fuel filter is a 200+ hour fuel filter. Okay, you can still kind of spin it on there, which makes me a little nervous. I'd like to not be able to spin it. At the same time, you don't want it too tight. So, okay, so that is gonna be that portion of it. The other portion is gonna go right onto here. So we're gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna throw my clamp on first, and I'm gonna go ahead over to my heat gun. I'm gonna heat this guy up. About 15-20 seconds of heat is all you really need here. And we're gonna get this guy on until it's fully seated. Okay. And we should be able to go ahead and tighten our clamp up. Now, when you're doing this, make sure your clamp is facing away from your terminals. Now what we're gonna need to do is we still gotta get this guy off here, but we're still gonna have to put one of these on here. Looks like they gave us 2 of them. Looks like they're about the same length. So we're gonna go heat up one more of these and pop it on here. Okay, go ahead and pop this guy on. Yeah, the heat is definitely the move. It really does need that in order to seat proper. And then we're gonna take our little pinch guy here and get him where we want him, and then tighten that guy up. Because our fuel tank needs to come up and through. So one of these connections has to come off. So we're gonna try to do it at this connection right here. Yep, okay. So what you're gonna wanna do now, before you take it too far, is try to get your fuel pump up and through there. And it looks like it's not gonna really want to do it very easily because you have this piece in there. So you're going to kind of have to really wiggle that in place to where it needs to be. So once you get that in there, then what you should be able to do is put your cables on. You know what? That one worked really good. Let's just try this guy really quick. Okay. Yeah, you know what? So when this is all together, there's no way these are gonna bend and touch. So you should be a-okay there. So just make sure they're fully seated. You want them all the way down. I don't really like how loose this guy is. So sometimes if you have these kind of connections, it's okay to go ahead and just barely kind of crimp them down a little bit extra. You want to be really gentle when you do this because you don't want to go too far. But the ground terminal did not seat as well as that positive terminal did. There we go. There we go. I might even, no, we should be okay. No, let's just do it to the positive terminal too. Okay. Okay. There we go. It's gonna make it a lot more difficult to get on there, but it'll stay seated way better. Yeah, there's no wiggle now. That's what you want. You want no wiggle. Okay, now we should be able to put this guy back in its housing. What we're gonna try to do is apply a little bit of pressure upward on all these feet. You don't want to break them. Just a little bit of pressure upward so when we push them back into their seat, hopefully they click in better. In this case, they did not. Okay. Yeah, that kind of worked a lot better this time. Okay, so just understand that this is finicky, and yeah, now that I got it on there, it's a lot harder to pop out, so that's good. That's what you want. You don't want it to be easy for this to pop out because that's holding your top hat here in place. So the other thing that I'm worried about now is rubbing. I mean, this isn't gonna rub when it's in the tank, so I guess that'll be okay. We're gonna focus on our fuel filter side. So we still have to get this off because we're gonna be replacing it. So what I'm gonna try to do is just go ahead and snip just this line, okay? And then I'm gonna try to snip upwards until we get to that. I'm just gonna try to set it down here and okay, there we go. It's off. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take my knife and I'm just gonna kind of do a quick 360 in here. Make sure that we have any particles or whatever out. And then once it's pliable, we should just be able to shove it right on there. Oh yeah, just like that. That was like butter. Okay, now we're gonna go ahead and take this guy and tighten him down all the way. All right, got that guy on there. He's not coming off. Now what we're gonna do is take this guy, put him back on here, and then push this guy back into his home. Okay. And tighten this guy back up. Okay, so this is what it should look like. Your fuel filter should be, it's gonna be sucking fuel up from the pump, and it's gonna be going up into the fuel filter, up through here to your, I'm gonna call this your pressure regulator, and then it's gonna be going down through here, through this guy, out, through and into your tank. Another thing to note is that you have an O-ring right here. Please inspect that O-ring, make sure it looks good. This one looks fine. Just make sure you inspect those and that they look okay and that they're in good shape. Here's our other fuel filter. We already put our fuel filter on this guy, so he is good to go. So anyhow, this is your fuel filter system. Again, one more O-ring to just double, triple check is this guy right here. Very important. Make sure that there's no debris or anything there. So this is going to be your Taco Moto Co fuel system and how you install the pump and everything. It definitely it's pretty easy to do. Takes some time, so take your time doing it. Don't rush. Last thing you want to do is rush this process. And then there was a zip tie that was on here, so we're gonna go ahead and put another zip tie on there. Let me go grab one right here. And we're just gonna zip tie this together. Okay, you don't need it crazy tight, you just want it to hold itself in place, so that way these wires are not running around on themselves. So this is it. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna get it back into the tank. Before we do that, we need to just check everything out here. So we have our 2 O-rings, so check these guys out. These both look really good. And then we have this 1 O-ring in here, so we want to check him out too. Make sure that he's still looking fresh and good. There's a little bit of dirt on here. I'm just going to kind of clean that up with my fingers. Okay, and then you can kind of see there's a little bit of dirt and debris around there. I'm just going to start by blowing it out, and then I'm just gonna go ahead and clean it out with a little paper towel. 90-degree swivel right here. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and pop our O-rings in here. Now what I like to do is grab something to lube them up. You don't need a lot of lube, but just a little squirt. This is some Purple Power degreaser. Degreaser's got a lot of lubrication properties in it, and so what I like to do is just kind of give that a nice little lubey touch, and it's not going to hurt anything. It's just going to help it seat and make sure that we don't have any rips or tears or anything like that when we go to install this guy. And again, this is replacing this, so that's all it's doing. We're just replacing one piece for the other. So yep, lube that up. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab our tank, fuel tank, and we're gonna go ahead and gently try to fish this through. And check out your tank, look around in there, see if you can see any debris or anything. I don't really see anything in there that is cause for concern, so should be a-okay. So what we're gonna do is try to fish this through. Oh, you know what, before we do that, let's just grab another shop rag here. I'm gonna go ahead, well, I'm gonna close my knife so I don't hurt me or anything else. Okay, grab another shop rag, get some Purple Power on there, just a little degreaser. I'm gonna go ahead and clean this up. You want this as clean as you can possibly get it, because this is a mating surface. So get that nice and clean, and then the same thing here. Clean this guy up. You want him as clean as you can possibly get him, because again, this is another mating surface. So get those nice and clean. Okay. Once you've cleaned everything up, look at your orientation. The big one goes at the bottom. A little one goes at the top, so keep that in mind. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and try to fish this in. Once you get it in all the way, you can try to get it wiggled there in place. And remember that this guy is facing down always. So once you get it fished in, this is the hardest part, is wiggling it around to get it to where these guys want to come out where they're supposed to. And let me tell you, I spent a lot of time doing this in the last tank. So the trick is, if you get this one on, then you can get this guy on here and get him seated. Okay, once you get him seated, you don't have to snug him up yet. Now you can loosen this one up and properly orientate it. So where the O-ring is right there in the center, where it needs to be. Then what you're gonna do is you're gonna take these O-rings, same thing, just a little bit of spit or whatever lube you guys wanna use. Motor oil is fine too, whatever you wanna use. Since this one says 6 days, and we want it to say 6 days, we're gonna properly orient it. So it's gonna be like that. And then this guy is gonna get screwed on just like so. Okay, once you have both of those on, now it's time to snug them up. So we're gonna get rid of our, well actually we're gonna need this guy in just a second. That's gonna be a 6 mil though that we need. And we're gonna go back in here and grab our 17. And I don't know what we did, oh right here. And grab this guy and our 17 mil. And we're gonna go ahead and snug this one up. Now, you don't need to over torque this, so do be careful. You want it tight, you don't want it outrageously tight, okay? This guy, we're gonna loosely snug up, okay? Just so he can turn a little bit. We don't want him, I'm actually gonna loosen that up a bit. So we want this guy to be able to turn. And the reason why is because when we put this on our bike, we want to be able to have this movable so we can clock it to where we want it. Okay, that's a key. So we did have this little plug from earlier. Oh yeah, it's gonna fit right over there. Alrighty guys, that's it. That's gonna conclude our video on the Taco Moto Co. fuel pump install and fuel filter install, along with our 90-degree adapter here. So that's pretty much everything you guys need to know. This is gonna go back on the bike soon. We'll probably try to film that as well, how we get that set up, along with the other little pieces that I showed you in the video. But until next time, thank you guys so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace!